my cousins in Mexico were calling me Grandma Danika. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm only like 10 years older than you.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, obviously, like, yeah, that's a pretty large gap, but like, Granny Dani.
Oh, but that rhymes though, kind of.
Oh,
so
it totally does. And
yeah.
that was like my nickname for the whole week. They were like, you can put your Snapchat in dark mode. I'm like, no, you can't. No, you can't do that.
Specifically, the Snapchat in dark mode is exactly the example I was hoping
right?
for. Yeah.
Like, I was like, you can't, no, you can't. You can't do that. It's always white. Even though my phone's in dark mode all the time, then my Snapchat is always white. And they're like, no, you can. Just give me your phone. I'm like, you're lying. They do it. I'm like, okay, so I really don't know. I'm like, I've had Snapchat probably longer than you two have been alive.
Absolutely.
Yet, here you are showing me a new feature.
Wow.
You know, like, I don't know how we got here, but...
Yeah, I think we have our title, Opinions with Granny Dani.
Opinions with Granny Dani.
Hello, ladies, and welcome back to D-Talk, your safe space to explore your creativity, expand your critical thinking skills, embrace your cringe, and the D.
D.
That's good.
D-Talk.
Yeah. I just added a fourth D. No, a fourth C, but I forget what it is. Creativity, cringe, critical thinking. What was the fourth C? Oh, connection, I think was the fourth. Because connection is very important. So we are very happy and lucky. No, we are. I'm so excited to have on the Detox stage today, Dani or Danika. No, let's go with Danika. What do you want?
I could also be D. We could be double D.
Oh, we're double D talk.
We could totally be double D talk.
D square talk.
D square talk. I like it. Now we're dancing.
Here's the story I want to start with you. Is when where were we going? I forget where we were going. Oh, to the Cowboys drag show.
Oh, okay.
And I had painted my face, and we went down here to the train station, and that man was screaming at me.
Yes.
I forget what his words were. You're ashamed to men or something like that. And there were a few little chirps.
Yeah.
And then we kept walking. And then he said, there's only two genders. Do you remember what you called back to him?
I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, one of them's asshole and that's you or something.
That's exact. Is one of them asshole? Because I think that's yours.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
It's a good line.
It was.
It's a good
also,
line. Write that down.
Like, dude, you're wearing dirty ass gray sweatpants. Shut your face hole. Like, okay, we don't have time for that.
Oh, God. Yeah, and then we got on the train that wasn't ours because we were like, let's just get out of here.
Well, I mean, come on. He's like rounding up his posse back there. I'm ready to shank him with my heel.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
This is right,
I just have zero tolerance for that.
But that's good because a lot of people don't. I think this is where I want to go in with you because you're unique in that way specifically.
I will go to bat for my friends and anyone that I think is like, I don't know, in like a position where they're like, oh, fuck, like,
yeah, I
will come at you.
Oh, that's so good.
And give me like one or two drinks and it's starting to sound like, I don't know why bitches can't say, excuse me. I don't know. Like, okay, you're not going to say anything. I know you. And you're just kind of like, okay, like, I'm just going to pretend that I don't hear you. Yeah. And no, get your grubby ass sweatpants out of here. Maybe find a laundromat. I don't know. I didn't think that was the story you were going to tell.
No? What did you think I was going to tell?
I thought you were going to tell the story of my crazy mom, who I love and is not crazy, but ripping my hubcap off with a baby wipe. Just got my driver's license. It's lunchtime. I'm like, David, we should go drifting. It rained. Why was that what we were doing at lunchtime? I really don't know, but
in the red sunfire.
Yeah.
In the red sunfire.
Yeah, I blew a rim. I had to get towed out of there.
Oh my God.
She drove us back to school, like
70 in the 30 zone.
Yeah, get back in there, go to class.
And then because our principal was walking through the hallways and it was just like the four of us walking through and he's like, why are y'all late? And then your mom went, they were in a car accident. And he was like, oh my God, are you okay? And then she was like, they're fine. And kept walking us.
Oh yeah. She still tells that story and she's like, I just don't know what you two were doing. And I'm like, well, what about Carissa or Maddie or whoever was in the back?
Yeah, exactly.
She goes, no, it was you two. I just know it was you two. It was your ideas. Yeah. I'm like,
I don't think she's wrong.
No, we still get into trouble, but like in the best way possible.
in smarter ways. Because I remember we parked in like the family leisure center parking lot, and then there was that random guy that came up and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's broken."
That's broken. And then he left. He didn't even help us. He was just like, you guys are SOL. Have a good night. See you later. Hope you don't have your chemistry test at noon.
I was glad to miss school. I was always glad to miss school.
Oh, I wasn't. I was scared too.
Yeah.
My mom did the attendance.
Yeah. Your other memory of your mom is when you sent me a video of her vacuuming the driveway outside. I like that one too. That's good.
Yeah. That was, I don't remember why she was doing that, but that did happen.
There's probably leaves out there, yeah.
Well.
You need a clean driveway. I've been there.
Of course.
Oh, God. So today on the pod, we have Dani. Very excited to have you here. We've known each other for a really long time. We met in grade 5.
Yeah. Do you still play guitar?
No. Oh, that's so good. I'm going to put that on the screen because that is so cute.
There is a lovely photo. My hair looks the same actually today. If my headband. Yeah, David and I were in guitar class together.
So long ago. That was so cute. Okay, wait.
I can't strum a tune to save my life.
No, I can't either. I don't have the finger calluses. I had a guitar for the longest and I kept trying, but my fingers weren't hard enough.
I feel like, I don't know, like, I don't think it's not for us.
Okay, so how many years ago were we in grade 5? Ooh.
Well, we graduated high school 10 years ago.
So 5. So 7 plus 17 years ago, we were in grade 5.
Wow, that's a long time. That's crazy. Yeah, it is.
Do you like getting older?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But like when I have like people like you, like I feel like I don't have like a ton of friends that I was friends with in like grade 5. Like how many people can you be like, yeah, I've known them since like grade 5.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, you've literally seen it all. You know, you've watched the evolution. I've watched the evolution.
Yeah.
And somehow we still just weave ourselves together, you know, like
you go farther apart and then somehow you just come back together.
You come back. Like you're in Calgary now, I'm in Calgary now. Did we think like when we were 16 we would ever both land in Calgary? Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, especially at age 16. Oh my God.
Right? Like what did we think we were going to do? I don't think it would be like, okay, in 17 years from now I'm going to be sitting in David's beautiful apartment looking at the river making a podcast. I feel like transitioning back to the first story that you said about like me saying shit to those guys that are being assholes to you.
Yeah.
Do you want that to happen? Like, is that a good thing? Or were you like mortified? Like, what was your reaction in that state? Yeah. Because like, I had no problem being like, listen up, fuckers. This is not cool what you're saying. Like, take a hike, jump on the tracks. I don't know. Obviously, I don't want them to do that. Very bad. But you know, like, go away. Like, just, but like sometimes, and I'm bad at this, like, pick your battles. That's a battle I'm going to pick every single time. Yeah. Like, if somebody's like being a dick to you, why would I tolerate that? You know? But like, how did like you feel in that situation where you like, oh my God, shut up? Because like, I know like I've had that situation where someone's going off because of me and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop talking. This is making it worse. Yeah. Do you think that that was making it worse?
It's interesting because I thought about this a lot after that happened too. And I remember telling that story and talking about it because I remembered they were like chirping. There was the 3 of them, but only really the one was talking. Right. And we were ignoring him for an amount of time. But then, because they were walking in the opposite direction. Right, right. But then there was a point where he stopped and he turned around. And he kept getting closer to us.
That didn't sit well with me.
No, and that would have been the moment. If he just said something as we were passing, I think it might have like maybe made the situation worse. But he kept walking towards us and I remember feeling that and being like, all right, there's an amount of time until he's like right behind us.
And then it's like... You're narrowing in. It's like a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more scared. And we're standing right in front of the train tracks. And that. So yeah, no, I did appreciate it. It did make me more nervous in the moment, but I could see him like look at you. And also when he just called you some female, I was comforted by that because it was like, oh, you don't hate just queer people. You hate everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's not personal. It's just anybody feminine. You're a lesser person. I
don't know. I actually thought about that night too. I was like, I wonder if me doing that like made you like wickedly uncomfortable. But no, I hoped not. I was like, I hope that like, you know, I have your back and I would just, you know, like I'm not trying to like intentionally make you feel uncomfortable.
No, it didn't. And fuck, I have something in my eye.
I can see it.
Stop, you can't see it.
It's on your eyelashes. Do a little.
I was in drag yesterday.
I was going to say, girl, get that eyelash glue off.
Yeah. Jeez. I hate being rough around the eyes to get that off. Anyway, yeah, I don't think I would have any other friends that would do quite exactly that. And that's not like to roast other friends for like, but you do have that level of confidence where you're willing to say something in those moments.
Yeah, I feel like that maybe stems from like, I don't know, I feel like I'm an emerge nurse. So the take shit level, like it's pretty low. Like I don't know, like I don't have a lot of tolerance for people being like that.
Yeah. But
it's low. Like,
you had qualities like that though before you were a
for
nurse.
sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
Like I would go to bat for any of my friends. Like that is just something that I have always done, I feel. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
even when they don't deserve it.
This is fair.
Yeah.
This is fair.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It could be, though.
It could
like,
be a bad thing.
Go to, like, it's, like, to a fault sometimes. That's fair. But, like, I don't know. I feel like in that situation, I had enough situational awareness, we'll call it that, to be like you said, like, this guy's turning around, he's coming back. What can I say that's going to make him walk away? Like, go join your little friends and continue on with your Friday evening. Why are you ruining ours? For funsies? That's not my idea of fun, but okay.
I remember your voice reverberating off of the train station ceiling. And it was because you said, is one of them asshole? Because I think that's yours. And you turned around and yelled, walk away. And then he did. It's like, oh yeah, follow instructions, bitch.
I mean, that's right.
Why do you think you have that quality? Is it from your mom?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like my mom's very like passionate about like her people, like me especially. Like, somebody commented on my Facebook status during COVID. Well, oh my God, it was like that was not okay with her. And she made sure everyone...
a real story?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was, someone just... I'm not going to say who, obviously. I'm not going to get into it. But, like one of her friends kind of commented something on my Facebook post, like talking about COVID. And they're like anti-COVID kind of. And like that was like an end for her. She was like, no, I don't want anything to do with them. And I was like, okay, like... maybe we should relax a little. Like, like it's okay. People can have their opinions as well. Like
But can they though when it comes to something so like black and white like that?
I mean, like, I feel like yes, and I don't know. I don't know.
This is good though. This is
I feel like everyone has their own opinions, even people I work with. Like there's nurses that are not vaccinated and like I'm not faulting them for not getting it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, that was your decision at that time. Cool. I chose something different. Doesn't make it right or wrong. But I feel like a lot of people do think like my opinion's the best opinion, and then that's where it gets hairy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like my opinion on this is the only opinion that everyone should be like spreading or like talking about, and if your opinion's different and then it's wrong. I feel like that's where it like gets hairy.
Yeah.
With COVID, with anything really.
But then, okay, let's take it for the example of like those guys at the train station of their opinion that mask presenting people shouldn't be wearing makeup.
Yeah, wrong.
Like I agree with you, but is there a difference between like your thoughts on like...
I think that like that guy could have that opinion, and I think that that's fair. That guy doesn't want to wear makeup.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't want to do that. That's fine. That's your opinion on that matter. You can think that, oh my gosh, I don't like that men wear makeup, but you don't get to decide if other people do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Your opinions are about you.
Right.
And not about anybody else.
Like your opinions should be reflected on yourself. Like, I don't care who wears makeup. Go ahead. That's my opinion. I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. I don't hate that. Someone from Medicine Hat, where we're from, might think, no, men should not wear makeup.
Yikes.
And you can think that all you want, but if you see a man wearing makeup, you don't get to say anything then. You know what I mean? Like, that's not your place.
Yeah.
Because their opinion is different than yours does not make it wrong. I don't know. I guess that's like the devil advocate side of that. Like, that guy can think that, but he doesn't need to express his opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can have your opinions. It doesn't mean you need to necessarily at a train station on Friday night at 5:30 come at someone. That doesn't give you the right to do that because your opinion's different. Just like I'm not on Facebook going on blast being like, all these nurses I work with that didn't get the COVID vaccine. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, that's their decision. And I don't get to have an opinion on their decision. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does make sense. It's interesting, though, like...
You disagree.
I don't disagree, but then I struggle to find the direction of where that's heading. Because then if you have communities of people that have that opinion, then we see it right now, even in Alberta, with like the anti-trans legislation being written and stuff. Like, if those opinions are held in silent, kind of like what you were saying, you're not expressing them in like a derogatory way. But then where does that go? But then I guess if it's the majority of people, then should it be like a democratized thing where that legislation should reflect the opinions of the majority of people? But then where's the line of like infringing on human rights? Like, you know?
Yeah, it gets really muddy when you start getting into that. Like,
Because if you think like if the opinion is like mentioned wear makeup, then that's fine. And I do agree with what you're saying. But then the direction of like, okay, in a world where the majority of people think that, then...
Should it be not allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's really tough because you're always going to have conflicting opinions, like with everything. But when it comes to your own person, like you said, where do we draw the line on like, these are your rights and freedoms? Like, there's no law saying that you can't go out with some eyeshadow on.
Here, yeah.
Well, I mean, here.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
no, yeah.
Obviously there's some other situations where that is maybe not the case. But like, I mean, I don't know. I also like kind of compare it back to like religious like things, like...
Forgot about religion. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Like in certain cultures, women aren't allowed to like show their chests or their knees or like their ankles or their hair, right? Like there's like certain things, and like I feel like you're either born into it or you choose to be a part of like a group such as, which is harder when you like flip it into like trans. I don't know. I feel like it's like, this is like a deep ass
That's what
topic.
we're here for, yeah.
Like, this is hard,
opinions,
right?
We found it, yeah.
Opinions are hard. Like, I don't know. And I feel like a lot of people like to share their opinions because everyone thinks their opinions are correct. That's true, though.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. Where do you draw the line? I feel like that's a really hard question to answer. Like, I don't know if there's like a black or white answer for that. Like in certain religions, it's required that you wear a head scarf or like a turban or something, any sort of like head covering.
Yeah.
In some cultures, that's like, it's illegal for you to like go out without it. But like, like if that person wants to leave that religion, they're also allowed to do so. Maybe not without ridicule. But they can, right?
And like losing support systems that are in place of like your family and where you go and your friends and all of that.
Which like I think makes it hard for people to do that. That's why it's so hard to like jump that ship. And like I obviously am a basic white bitch. So I'm gonna conform to my red nails and my gold rings.
Oh, so good. They look so good though.
Thank you. I know, right?
Yeah.
Just so good.
Sometimes it just works.
It just works. Sometimes being a basic white bitch works. But like I've also never like felt the other side of what like you felt. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never had someone come up to me on a train platform and been like, "You're wearing makeup, fuck you." I have never experienced that. So I feel like my opinions, regardless if they're like on your side, like I want you to be able to express yourself and wear makeup and do what makes you feel good. I've also never experienced that. So like all these like politicians and shit, that like, who are they to decide when they've never been in that situation? And maybe they have, like maybe they're secretly like in the closet or something. I don't know.
You think Danielle Smith is trans? That's what you said.
That is exactly what you said. Like like people don't get it.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly it. If you're not around it, then you don't understand it. Like I remember learning about trans people and having like some problematic opinions about trans folks in general. until there was somebody in my life that I loved that was trans.
Exactly.
And I was like, whoa. The fact that they're trans is probably the least interesting about them.
Yeah, right? That doesn't define who you are as a person.
It's just another boring ass person.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. Yeah.
And like where I feel like I always say Alberta is the Texas of Canada. Like we're pretty redneck here. I went to Medicine Hat a couple weeks ago and like we've got, stickers like fuck Trudeau, like I clean my guns with liberal tears. Like these are the things that people choose to put on their vehicles.
Funny though. I kind of like that.
I mean, like it is kind of funny, sure, but it's also like, okay, like that like in that situation or like in Medicine Hat, like you don't go to Medicine Hat and say, oh, we should go to the drag brunch on Sunday. Like it's not a thing there.
I've done a drag show in Medicine Hat.
That's amazing. Yeah, but like 5 years ago, no.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? Like we're slowly kind of like coming up with more acceptance, I feel, in that like area of things, but I still feel like it's very old school. I always say Medicine Hat's a little geriatric. It is. True, like it's so many like elderly people who like just don't have the same opinions as like our generation. And I feel like our generation is pretty accepting for the most part. More so than older ones, but like there is still like Hicktown Brad that's got the wipe my guns with liberal tear stickers on his lifted GMC that he bought 10 years ago. Like like that. And how do you like combat that? I don't know,
because there's an amount of like education you can try to provide to somebody. Like, I have a new series on my YouTube channel called Dismantling Hate that I was kind of talking about before. And I just look at some alt-right, overly religious, homophobic, transphobic, racist, like things that people put out on the internet. And it is striking what people feel confident in putting out.
Right.
And I had a comment on it from a teacher that I was really interested in hearing from. And they said, like, you have so much patience for what you're watching. And that one really sat with me because there is an amount of like, it's easy to be like, oh, fuck you. Kind of like the way that you were yelling at that man. Not that, but like.
That needed to happen in that instance, exactly. Safety-wise. But like, he needed to go.
Exactly. We're not going to sit down with the book and be like, here's why what you're saying is problematic.
Yeah. Do you want to come in this little bench here that's warm? We could talk about it.
Should we learn about like gender structure and how? No. But like, what's the amount of how much you're going to try and educate somebody and like have patience for them? Because like for the old people, for example, like, are we going to teach grandma that what she's saying is homophobic, or are we just going to write her off and be like, fuck you, and then leave? Like,
right.
Is society, okay, here's the question. Does society change through changed minds or funerals?
Oh, damn. Shit.
I think about this a lot.
Oh.
Like, is it worth it? Do you have anybody in your life that you've like stopped talking to because they're just awful?
I don't know necessarily how much I want to get into of this,
but
yes, I would say yes. And like someone who's fairly close or was like to me, has very different opinions and like opinions that I don't agree with. And like, you can sit there and try to change their minds all day and they're so set in their old ways that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So at some point you kind of almost like, I feel like I kind of like compartmentalized that person into like, I will see them on these occasions when I'm required to. And like, that will be away from like my friends that I, care about their well-being as well. Like, you have different friend groups, everybody does. And like, I definitely have some people in my life that I would not, like, I can't change their mind. So they're not invited if it's something that I'm doing that they don't agree with, then you just don't come. And I feel like, or like sometimes like I have literally like mid family dinner before I have cut people off and been like, we're not having this conversation. So like, they know my opinions on it. I've said it 10 times and they're still going to try and voice their opinion on it, which is fine. Voice your opinion on it. But if you're trying to change my mind and I'm trying to change yours and we're never going to find a middle ground, why are we talking about it? Which is like, maybe goes back into what you were saying. Like, can we do that? That's maybe bad. But like in my own personal life, I feel like I do that a lot because I'm like, listen, this is how I feel about this. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change yours. We can agree to disagree.
And do you find that, Jesus, Do you find that like you're actually coming from such opposite sides of the spectrum and it isn't possible to find a middle ground? Because most often, like especially if we're talking about like overly religious people or like homophobic people or things like that with these videos that I've been watching online, a lot of us have the same core values, but they're just not understanding the other side of it, or they can't conceptualize it, or like they don't know a person like that in real life that they love and care about.
They don't have anything to relate it to their own life.
Yeah. Do you think it's actually like so far apart, or do you see like, I don't know, like people like that I find are standing on information that's wrong, and then you get into like misinformation and then the generational gap of like how much time they spend on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I fell down the rabbit hole of AI art on Facebook, specifically AI Jesus art on Facebook.
Oh.
So there's these bots now. Like Facebook is a
Sounds like
wasteland.
our Catholic school would have loved that.
Exactly. No, but because these old people who are on Facebook don't have the best vision, they cannot tell or knowledge of AI or the internet.
They don't know if it's real
so
or
they
not.
think Jesus on the bottom of this plane holding it up flying through the sky like it's the B movie is real life.
Oh no.
They think it's real life because they can't tell.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Oh God. And then Brenda thinks it's the second coming. Have you seen the video of this girl like tricking her mom, and she's like, "Mom, Jesus was seen." She's like, "Oh, show it to me, Rachel." Have you seen that?
No.
I'll show it to you after.
Okay,
It's
I was going to
great.
say, I feel like I need to watch
She
this.
legitimately thinks that Jesus was seen.
Oh,
She
God.
needs to see it.
Yeah. You know, like, I feel like that's another thing. Like you said, like the misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Even like my grandma starts ordering things on Temu. I'm like, girl, you best be careful. Like, you don't even know who you're giving your credit card information to. Like, and like, just without a care in the world. And then mad because, well, I ordered extra large and it didn't fit me. So I emailed the company. She got her money back. She kept the shirts.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, like, this is a one-time situation where this is going to happen. Like, our generation knows like that could be a little hairy. You might not get what you want. You ordered a full-size couch, you got one for your Barbie. Like that is just like, but like our generation talks about that kind of stuff, and they're like, our generation is like, okay, we are acknowledging that we took a risk ordering from this like debatably sketchy company, and like you said, like it's misinformation. Like my grandma thought that was going to be the best thing ever because she got 5 golf shirts for $5 or like whatever, right? Like, you know, like.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a different time.
Do you think that like we'll get like that? Do you think when we're like 60, or is it a different kind of way that we just view the world?
Don't you feel like we kind of already are?
Oh, like compared to Gen Z?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I remember the other day, okay, this was actually like 2 days ago. I went to the mall. I had to return some pants that I ordered online. Fine. And this girl, probably 14, like maybe 14. She's literally, keep in mind, like it's raining right now in Calgary. Like it's not the nicest out that we've ever seen it. She's wearing shorts and like a literal sports bra as a shirt. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, who let her leave the house wearing that? Are you kidding me?
I remember, yeah.
Like, okay, like my mom used to say that to me, you can't wear that out. Like that skirt is too short, or like whatever the situation was. And now I feel like I've turned into that. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's showing so much skin. Like, okay. I'm like, where are her parents? Like, you don't know anything about this girl. Like, you're not allowed to comment, you know?
Yeah, I do.
But like, I already feel like I'm kind of getting into that like cynical, like, oh God, I'm so old. Who let her leave the house and that? Like, it's happening to me and I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
Like, do we know like all the things that, you know, like we're not keeping up with Gen Z as much. Like my cousins in Mexico were calling me Grandma Danika. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm only like 10 years older than you.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like obviously like, yeah, that's a pretty large gap, but like Granny Dani.
Oh, but that rhymes though, kind of.
Oh,
so
it
that
totally
was,
does. And
yeah.
that was like my nickname for the whole week. They were like, you can put your Snapchat in dark mode. I'm like, no, you can't. No, you can't do that.
Specifically, the Snapchat in dark mode is exactly the example I was hoping
Right?
for. Yeah.
Like I was like, you can't, you know, no, you can't. You can't do that. It's always white. Even though my phone's in dark mode all the time, then my Snapchat is always white. And they're like, no, you can. Just give me your phone. I'm like, you're lying. They do it. I'm like, okay, so I really don't know. I'm like, I've had Snapchat probably longer than you two have been alive.
Absolutely.
Yet here you are showing me a new feature.
Wow.
You know, like, I don't know how we got here, but.
Yeah, I think we have our title, Opinions with Granny Dani.
Opinions with Granny Dani.
Any opinions you have? Any controversial opinions you have?
Oh, this one might get me in trouble. I don't think that people can be cats.
Sorry, what?
Like people who identify as cats. Are we
Okay.
We could just nix this from the podcast totally.
I think we should. It needs to be said. Yeah. Why are you saying that though? Okay. What has led you here? How did we get here?
Okay. I guess like I read this post the other day.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Facebook because I'm a grandma.
Yeah.
Like literally that's how it kind of feels. No, I read this post on Facebook and it was like this school somewhere, I don't know where, I forget. I probably could find it if I needed to. But the school somewhere was like, they were like petitioning to have litter boxes installed for these kids who identify as feline animals. And I'm like, where do we draw the line? You know, like that's really strange.
Is that real though?
I fucking hope not.
Real? I don't think that's real.
I don't know if it is or not, but like, oh dear. And then like obviously the, you know, dad was not having it. So like said like, well, here's your cat food for dinner. Like literally. And this is going on. And I'm just like, okay, like you can love cats. Lots of people love cats. I don't love cats. I'm more of a dog gal myself, but like I don't hate cats. Cats are cool, you know.
You're not cat phobic.
I'm not cat phobic. I'm not cat phobic.
Yeah. So the cats who are listening to this like take their headphones on, they're like, ugh.
Yeah, the cats are pissed at me. No, I just like you're a human. You're not a cat.
Well, okay. And then this is the thing with that too, is because a lot of these like alt-right people take that of like, look, these kids are identifying as cats and kind of equating it to identifying as a gender other than what they were assigned at birth.
Right. And it's not the same in my head.
No.
In my opinion, it's not the same.
Because you're still human as the other.
Yeah.
It needs to be. But then they're like equating it with furries. And they're like, then the furry to them equals sexualization. So now they're sexualized children as cats, sexualized cats. And like, it's so nonsensical. So when somebody like our homophobic grandma reads it, then they're like, oh yeah, this is terrible.
This is terrible. I can't believe they're letting this happen. And then, now Danielle Smith's going to take that and run with it and be like,
thank God she is. She's saving our children from becoming cats.
Cats. Like, oh my God. The litter box thing in the school really got me. I was like, I'm sorry, but I think that I would actually have to drop out of high school and be homeschooled.
I cannot see a legitimate way where that's real though.
I really hope not. I seriously hope not. Also, like, how cats are cats. Humans are humans. We have different emotions. Mm-hmm. You know, like obviously cats have emotions. They are still a living creature, but it's not the same.
Well, and yeah,
like mental health wise, that just can't be good for you. Thinking you're a cat. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, oh my gosh, I'm going to get canceled. I'm going to get canceled the first day of the podcast. I'm going to get canceled. I'm never going to be invited back.
No, being canceled isn't, well, cancel culture is a whole other thing.
That's for next episode.
But like the cats, yeah, because I've had kids that'll come up to you and they're like, I'm a cat at recess, and then they like run away and whatever. Like that's different. That's
so different.
That's whatever. And like
you're not eating cat food and shitting in a litter box at school with your peers.
Yeah, that's.
I can't imagine how that would be like conducive to life going forward. Like, what job does a cat have? Nothing. They lay around all day. They don't have a job.
Eating lasagna.
Eventually, in life, you are not going to be able to be a cat. You know, like it's just that's. Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Have you seen the TikToks of the person who identifies as a wolf?
No.
And they do the as wolves do.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
But then there's a line. Okay, like
How do people afford life when they think that they're a dog?
Well, there has to be a lot of privilege that leads you there too, right? Because you can't.
I would think because
you have to have. Well, I don't know.
Somebody must be paying your bills and buying your food because, like, if you have to do that on your own, you need some sort of job.
I guess maybe they would live a life where people don't know that, and then they come back from like their office job and take off their
like an alter ego kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like but like, are you going to the office being like typing your email and then being like XOXO, ow. Like,
and this is
my name is Carol.
But is there, okay, so that is, in your opinion, is there like an amount of like respect or understanding for people like that? Because there has to be those experiences out in the world. Like we know, and it's hard because on the internet, like you don't get people to engage with your content unless they're triggered in some way. So like rage bait
True.
is absolutely a thing. And like on the person that was identifying as a wolf, I sent that to friends. I watched it like 3 times. And whenever their face comes up on my profile, I'm like, all right, let's see what the wolf is up to.
Right. And like now you're going to show me later.
Exactly. So like it works for them. But I'm sure there is a legitimate experience for somebody believes that. I don't know if
I was going to say, like, do you think that that's what it is though? Like, is it people like trying to like make content or get likes or like kind of be different? Be like, well, this has never been done before, so I'm going to do it. Like, is it that, or do they like genuinely want that for themselves?
And is there an amount of like psychosis that goes into that as well?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even for me to say.
I feel like, yeah, like obviously like in an emergency department, you get exposed to a lot of mental health. That's just like how the world goes. And like you do have people that come in, like, I'm going to use the example, like grandiose delusions. Like they think that they're like God or Jesus, or they're like coming back, like they're reincarnated. Like I am the second coming of Christ. Like they've
had that.
Yeah. And they like people dead ass believe that about themselves. And it's like, okay, who's to say in like 1805, or I'm not very good at Catholicism.
Yeah,
so don't
Catholicism.
Do not quote me on the years that Jesus was alive. But like when he was alive on earth, when they wrote the Bible and all that, allegedly, was it just a very mentally unwell person? You know, like what, and like now we've made like that's a huge construct in today's society.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah. So like I think of that often because I'm like, okay, this person genuinely believes that they are like the second coming of Christ. Whereas like this person genuinely believes that they are a cat. Like, is this a mental illness? Like it could very well be, like, and like we chalk that up all the time. Like, okay, this person has grandiose delusions. Right. But like, was the real Jesus also just a grandiose delusion? Man, the Catholics are coming for me today.
That's okay. Well, no, they're not listening to this.
They're not.
This is season 2. They know what this is
season
already.
2. They're not coming on.
They're not surprised.
But like, yeah, I don't know. Just like kind of filtering back to like the opinion thing. Like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They had their own opinions. They wrote a book about it. And now we widely follow that if we're going to follow that. You know, like I just like, nothing's real. Everything's fake.
That's it. Everything is constructed. But then you fall down of like, well, your reality is your perception.
Right.
So then where's the line too between like, well, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I don't know if in 20, I hate sounding like this because it makes me sound like the old man who's like, those kids these days. But like in 20,
showing too much skin.
Exactly. In 20 years, are we going to look at people that maybe are identifying as animal? But it's not even.
Right. Like I genuinely don't know. Like, which is why I feel like everything that's like kind of new, and like I'm not saying that like genders are new, but like people choosing genders is a fairly new-ish concept.
What do you mean? Like
that didn't happen 100 years ago.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Absolutely.
See, like maybe I'm like, once again, like in the dark, like did this happen 100 years ago where people were like, you know, I want to identify as female? Like did that happen in like the 1930s?
Absolutely.
Okay, and it wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
Now people are like, hey, this is what we're doing. We have all this social media, we have all these outlets to say and like tell people what we're doing. Let's make it normal.
Yeah.
You know, like they're trying to normalize it. They're trying to like not hide it under the rug.
Because these genders.
So like write the book. Be Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Write the book.
The Beatles? Is that who those are?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Oh god. But yeah, no, the idea of like gender roles, that's only been within like the last 100 years, because in like the 1910s the like blue was the female color and red was the male color, because red signified blood and hunting, and then the blue was the caretaker, like the nurses in blue scrubs. So this
interesting.
It all goes back and forth. But even like the cultures, there are some cultures where there's a built-in third gender where it's biological men, but they take on like traditionally feminine roles, and that's been like for hundreds of years. And yeah, even like the Blackfoot ways of knowing, like the land that we're currently on right now, like Two-Spirit people.
Oh yeah, that's very much a thing that we actually, as like, I don't want to say the organization I work for, but that is like a thing that there's modules. We have to do that about two-spirited people. So why do we not have to do that about trans people?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I bet you didn't know that.
Huh.
There's full Indigenous like modules that we have to, it's mandatory education.
Yeah.
So like for me to go to work, I have to have completed those, which I did them obviously when they came out. But yeah, like you learn about like the two-spirited and like all of their different kind of cultural things that they like go about. And why are we not doing that for everyone?
I feel like
you know
maybe
what I mean?
I do. I know what you're saying.
But I feel like there's not enough like information yet. Like in the same breath. And maybe that's just me being ignorant to the information that is there and not knowing enough about it, like not knowing as much as I should. But like just now in our new computer system, we have pronouns. So when you register in the hospital, you can now say she, her are my pronouns, or they, them, or he, him, whatever you want to say. You can put that on your chart, and you can also add a preferred name. But that never happened before. That's in like the last like 3 years. So like to me, I feel like we're just really behind.
Yeah. I feel like the reason though for the focus on like the Indigenous ways of knowing and things is because the land that we're on wasn't stolen from the queers. You know what I mean? Like it is like there should be more queer inclusion and like education on that. But like at the end of the day, like,
that's fair. That's so fair, I guess. But I don't know. There should be more education, especially for like we were talking about like the older generation. Like if I don't know someone's pronouns at the hospital, I will dead ass introduce myself and be like, hey, I'm Danika, I'll be your nurse today. My pronouns are she, hers. Like, what do you prefer? Like I will dead ass ask people that. I'm not scared to. And I feel like that all of a sudden just like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it just kind of like jumps the hurdle of the uncomfortableness of the other person. Like I want to let's just get that out of the way right away. Like I don't want you to feel uncomfortable with me. I don't want to feel uncomfortable with you. If your name is Tiana but you go by Tyler, tell me that, and I will make sure that it's on the chart, right? Like that's just like who I am, I guess. Like but in my practice,
that's the confidence level again too that not everybody has.
Right,
that's unique to you
for sure. But and like some people have it like right on their name tags now, their pronouns. Like I think that we're like very very slowly at snail speed getting there. And maybe that's just like on a personal level, like in my own practice, like as a nurse. But yeah, I feel like other people have like started to do that. And is it something that they like go on about in our education sessions? No. Is it something that maybe should be brought up? Like, hey, you can do this in the computer program. Probably. It should probably be something that, you know, is widely known, because that's just like the generation that we're in. But I don't know.
Right. And it's just as simple as a name too, right? Yeah. Like the people that complain that it takes so much time and it's this extra stuff of you're already learning a name.
Yeah. I already am learning a name.
Yeah.
And if that's not the name that they want me to call them, it's no different than Robert wanting to be called Bob. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why is that different? Why is it different? It's not, you know, like, I don't know.
My favorite thing is when people leave like hate comments on my YouTube videos, which hasn't happened very much, but there's been a few of them where they like, I don't know if they're misgendering me on purpose, but using like he, him pronouns. Like, but you had to type in @David they. Like you, so you could see it in the same comment of like they, and then they say he, him.
Yeah.
It pays to advertise. I love that.
Like, what are your opinions? Like, I guess my thing is like, I always like to know the other side of it. Like if a nurse came up to you and was like, hey, I'm Danika, my pronouns are she, her, would you be like offended in any way?
No, not at all. Thank you so much.
Really? Absolutely. That's not like oh my God, I can't believe she just did that.
No, and I think anybody that does that is probably some form of phobic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily, but it does.
I'm like, I don't introduce myself like that every time, like to Bob, the, 85-year-old cancer patient or something, like obviously like he is just him because.
I mean, but not obviously.
Not obviously, because I have had that happen to me where it was an older individual. And I told you this story before we came in here today, but this older individual, I asked me if, they could go to the bathroom, and I said, sure. So I brought in the urinal, the little bottle that we have at the hospital. And he's looking at me and he's like, no, that's not going to work. And I'm like, okay, well, do you need help with it? Like, do you need me to lower the railing so we can like stand up at the side of the bed? Like, I just don't trust that you're like safe enough to walk to the bathroom kind of thing. And he was like, you know what? No, like I have female parts. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Like, let me go grab a different situation so we can get you onto the toilet. And like, it did not affect the way that I cared for that person, I guess, is what I'm saying. And like, obviously they had to tell me at some point, I don't have a penis to put in that thing to pee. Yeah. So that's not going to work for me. But like, then I almost felt like bad. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know. And then I was like, am I supposed to know? You know, like what's your thoughts on that? Like you identify as he, him, that particular person did, identified as like he, him, and then actually ended up having like female parts. But like, I had no idea. So like, are you happy that I had no idea that there was a transition done at some point?
Well, and that's the intent.
Is that the intention? Like, are you like pumped that I brought you a male urinal? Or are you like, wow, this girl's fucking stupid?
I think, and like,
I think that could go both ways.
No, absolutely. And this is really interesting too, because it brings up the idea of passing, right? Of like, so if you transition and you pass as your or pass as the gender that you have transitioned into, there's a big amount of privilege that comes with that, even for like safety.
Oh, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, as a trans,
I never really thought of it that way, but
absolutely, like a trans woman that passes as a woman wouldn't be yelled at the train station.
Right.
But somebody like me, if I transitioned to a woman tomorrow and still had like male looking features,
right,
then I'd be hate crimed at the train station.
Right.
So there's that big amount. Right. So a lot of people,
it's that like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So like, passing privilege is a thing.
I have never heard of this theory before, so this is very interesting to me.
And some people really like that and want that. So I think there would be an amount of people that would be like, oh yeah, she didn't know that I was trans, and like that would have been like affirming to you, right? But again, that does still directly play into the gender binary, because like, you're still using all of those labels too, right? And there's a big amount of pressure. So like, okay, a trans woman who likes masculine things, right? Like, couldn't the things that you want in your life, okay, how am I going to say this? So if you're a trans woman, you identify as a woman, but you like appearing masculine.
Okay.
So then you wouldn't be passing, but then sometimes trans people are held to a higher standard of like adhering to the gender that they seemingly have chosen. Right.
Whereas like, maybe you want to be a little bit of both. Okay.
Like, yeah.
That's
it's just
tricky.
Different for every person.
100% situational again.
Right.
Like,
but like,
always situational.
I know trans men that like put makeup on and then appear very femme, but then people are like, so why are you doing that if you transition to be a man? Why are you putting makeup on now? Like, what's the point?
Right.
Like, how is that any different from me putting on makeup?
But that's like, who's to say what you want to do with that? And like, this like passing thing, I want to circle back to that. Like, is that like, I feel like that's not everyone's goal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I don't think that's like, oh yeah, like you're trying to transition, you passed, you know, like it sounds like a test.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like not everybody wants to take the test.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just my thing. Like,
yeah. Well, and I have like an amount of that too, because like as a queer person, and like at most oftentimes quite feminine, especially, well, not so much if my mouth is closed, or like you don't see me walk or like interact with the world at all. But in moments where my safety would be threatened by appearing queer, I can pass as a straight white man.
Right.
Like the people that look at me at the gas station that would scream obscenities at me, they could just look at me as a straight white man. So I have an amount of passing privilege just based off of the assumptions
other
of
way.
other people.
Right.
Yeah.
All these things I don't think of on a daily basis, and I'm sure everyone else does. Like,
but it's your experience, right?
Yeah.
There are things that you think about that I don't. Oh yeah, because we're here talking about opinions, so we'll get a little bit less academic now.
Yeah, that was wow. I didn't even know I had that in me.
But yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. But I bet you it'll be like 3 minutes in talking about dating apps, and we're gonna get on some societal.
Oh, of course.
Whatever.
This construct. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna finish here, besties, with the conversation about our opinions about dating apps.
Yeah.
So, what dating apps do you have experience with?
Okay.
What are the names?
I have had Tinder.
Okay.
I currently have Hinge.
Yeah.
I think I had Bumble for 5 minutes, and I was like, I will never message someone first, so this is not for me.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It shouldn't. Why is it my job? Which is maybe a bad. Why is it my turn? But okay, this is maybe a rude opinion, but I'm just gonna pull up my Hinge, okay? Because this is something that I sometimes struggle with, and I'm like, does this person really think they have a chance?
So
do you ever experience that?
How does Hinge work?
Okay, so Hinge works. You can like people, so you make a profile. You can put prompts on your photos. You can like put prompts like this one says, "I'll fall for you if you play golf with me." Okay, Yikes. Anthony, like we get it. You will never spend any time with me because you're busy Monday to Friday because you're golfing. It gives you their age, their height, if they have kids, if they want kids, if they drink, if they smoke, what they're he works at the golf course. This gentleman, yeah. He is going to school. You know, like you can just, okay, right? Like this is someone that I could send a like to.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any right now. I looked at them already today. But like some people that are on this, I'm just like, did you really look at my profile and think, yeah, for sure. She's going to like me back.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like they like you and then you have to like them before you can like interact.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I feel like Tinder's the same way. Like, kind of. Tinder is similar because you swipe right and then if somebody else swipes right, then you get a match. So it's kind of the same as Hinge, but you can see the person. Like you can see that they liked you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
does,
you know that like you have likes. So you go through them like this guy liked me. Do I want to like him back? Yes or no? And sometimes it's just like really mind-boggling to me that these people think they have a chance. Is that so rude?
Like, okay, let's unpack this here a little bit. Like, why do you think they don't have a chance? What is it specifically?
Well, I guess that's my own personal things that like come into play. Like, you know, I've dated short guys, so I cannot even say that that's one. But like, if you're like shorter than me, like I'm not tall. I'm like 5'3". So like, if you're shorter than me, great for shooting your shot, but like, it's gonna be a no.
Like every time, or would there be some sort of an exception?
I don't think there'd be exception to that.
Really?
At least taller than me. It's not hard to be taller than me is the problem. So if you're not, it's just like, oh my God. Or like, okay, like on my profile, for example, I feel like I look pretty much like I do now. Like I look like a pretty basic white girl. Like got some photos from Stampede. Sure. I'm obviously wearing my, you know, cowboy hat and my cowboy boots. And then, you know, I've got a photo in my Calgary Flames jersey. Like I'm pretty basic. Yeah. And then you've got like tattooed Jeff who has a tattoo on his face that says like fuck off or something, and it's like did you look at my profile and think, yeah, this girl, she totally into my fuck off face tattoo? You know? Yeah. I guess that's maybe the self-awareness part, but like,
but I don't know if like the average basic white girl from Calgary wouldn't be into Jeff's face tattue.
I guess, you know what I mean? It kind of depends. Like maybe Jeff has a lot of money.
Maybe that's Jeff's... not where I was going.
I think face tattoo. I think criminal.
Okay, yeah.
Certain ones, especially the fuck,
no, this is where you're gonna get canceled.
This is where I'm gonna get canceled. The fuck off face tattoo.
Well, yeah, if it said that,
it's then kind of concerning. Or like the teardrop. Like we all know what that means.
Yeah,
you know,
that
like
would make sense.
And then I'm just like a basic girl.
But you're not basic though, is the thing.
I guess. I just think I am. Yeah. I'm like, I am like every other white girl here. Well, maybe like, that's kind of what I think.
You could look like them, but really once you have a conversation, I don't think you are.
True. I guess it comes down to personality. But then like I want to get into on like Grindr, like I have seen profiles on Grindr and they just don't even have a photo at all. And it's like, well, how are you supposed to actually know what you're getting yourself into?
Well,
you don't.
I mean, because
I guess I don't use it, so like I don't understand, but like
I don't necessarily understand either. I go back and forth with Grindr. I have a very love-hate relationship. It's usually hate.
And like I hate dating apps too, so why are we all on them? Because it's so hard to meet people in the wild.
Is it though?
I think it is.
All of the relationships I've ever had have come from meeting somebody in real life. Really? And even like some of my best friends have come out of who I met out in the wild.
Okay, that's actually fair when you kind of like look back, like you meet people through people.
But even like I just love going out by myself too.
See, and like I did that for the first time like not that long ago. It was weird for me. Like I've never done that, but like I was like, you know what? I'm here at Market Mall and I'm gonna go sit at the bar at whatever Milestones or whatever thing that's in, and I'm like, I'm gonna just go sit there and like have a glass of wine and lunch. And like the amount of like people that were just like, hey, how's your day? Like obviously like workers and like people who were there, but
Yeah.
it's just weird to me. It's a foreign concept to me, and I think
Yeah.
it's because I like don't have maybe the balls to do it. Like,
Well, no,
I don't
there's
know.
definitely
Like,
a level of confidence.
yeah,
that's
like it's
associated with
scary,
that.
and
Yeah.
especially like downtown. I'm like, I would go with like one other friend and sit at the bar, sure, but like, would I go by myself? Like, probably not.
Yeah, if safety is kind of questionable, then that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's another thing with dating apps. Safety, questionable. Questionable. I can't even let you get into this on here, but like, you know.
I mean, we can record whatever, and Kylie will edit it out.
Kylie
Yes.
is on to this topic. I met a guy on Hinge. This was a couple years ago. Was it a couple years ago? Yeah, I guess. And he had money, and I didn't know how he had money. So that was like my first red flag that I should have been like, that's
interesting.
a little bit concerning. Like, is he lying to you? He told me he like ran all these companies and shit, which I'm pretty sure was a lie. Like, he got like some sort of insurance payout for like being in an accident.
I got hit by a car and now I don't have to work anymore.
Pretty much.
Love that.
Yeah.
So fierce.
And at first I thought like, this guy's great. And then like a month into it, I was like, let's go to Mexico.
Okay.
Because I wanted to go to Mexico. I was supposed to go with one of my friends. They bailed. And I was like, well, I still have the week off. So like, let's go. Thinking this would be like a really good, like if I'm going to date someone long term, I need to know if I can travel with them.
Absolutely.
I feel like that is like such a make it or break it situation. Like if you can't travel with me, and oh my God, when I tell you this guy, I never spoke to, we came home and I picked my car up from his house and I never spoke to him again. Yeah. It was one of those, like he upgraded us to full first class, but like that would have been cool if I didn't have to pay for it.
Oh.
He was like, this is how much the trip is. Like, this is your half. And I was like, well, that's kind of a lot. Like, I'm only there for 5 days in Mexico, like $2,000. Like, okay, but sure.
Yeah.
So, like, sent the money, like, whatever. And we get to the airport, and there's this woman with her 4 children. Can't even imagine. Probably meeting, like, grandma and grandpa in Mexico or something on their vacation. And I was like, oh, like, you go ahead. It was, like, the priority boarding. It's like, you go ahead. And he walked in front of her and like straight up went to the desk. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just felt like so uncomfortably awkward. And I was like, the entitlement of this person is really not sitting well with me. And like the entire time we were in Mexico, I said, do not sign me up to go to any form of timeshare extravaganza. Okay. I don't want to go to that. I only have X amount of days here. Like to enjoy my time. I'm not doing that. I've been to them a million times.
Like
with
the
like
time
my
for,
family.
Like, you sit down and
like the
listen to their
presentation and they want you to buy it. And I was like, you are not going to buy it. So don't pretend that you are. Like, but then he brings his Rolex to the beach. I'm like, you are so dumb. Like, leave that in Canada. We literally like, no. Number one, it's going to get stolen. Number two, I hope it's fake. I'm sure it was. Everything
like
about
getting
him
sand
was
in it or something.
Yeah, right. And he's like, oh no, like it's fine. It's like waterproof. I'm like, in the ocean though? Like, I don't know. Like Sharky is gonna come eat it off your arm or something. Like, I don't know. Anyways, it was just horrible. So we like had to go to this timeshare thing, and I literally was so mad at him all day. I was like, you know what? You drugged me to this, and like I left all my stuff in the room, and they're like, we need your credit card, we need your ID. I'm like, didn't bring it. Don't have it. Sorry. Like, not doing that. They had his. So I finally just left him there. Because I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the beach. Like, you guys hash this all out. I'm not invested in this conversation. I don't have $10,000 to give you for a timeshare. Like, I'm out of here. And I pieced out. And he was upset with me. And I was like, I told you 400 times that I didn't want to go sit in that. Now here we are. But, I mean, there's more to that story as well that I'll have to tell you later. But I just, like, how do you, like... I felt like I like trusted him so much. I was like, this is so good. And then I actually realized after we came back that he was like dating like 4 other girls. So I was like, oh my God. Like, I hate dating apps. And I think it's because that like one bad experience put a bad taste in my mouth. So I guess I just don't know. Like, do you like them?
Overall, no, I don't.
No, I don't.
I like because I've spent a lot of time like detoxing from many things in my life because I don't know, I have like an addictive personality, so like I've struggled with smoking cigarettes and smoking weed, but it's anything that kind of gets you on that hedonic treadmill and you're just chasing dopamine more and more and more. And like the Instagram likes get me with that too. Like I have to be hard on myself of like, put the phone down.
Put the phone down.
It doesn't matter if there's 22 more views on this video from 14 minutes ago when you last looked at it. Like, put it down. But yeah, so like dating apps kind of go in that same category for me, or like whether you're meeting somebody to like just sleep with them or like you're going out on a date or that, it's most often not going on a date from like Grindr and things like that. But I have, though. I've definitely gone on dates with people from there. But sometimes
it's just
it
kind of
is
like
questionable.
Do you ever feel like it's just like so forced?
It can be.
Like, I don't know. It's just like I'm putting myself out there. When people say that, I'm like, oh my God, okay, like let me get back on Hinge and putting myself out there.
In that respect, I would rather go out in real life and put myself out there.
Right? But then it's like, okay, you go out in real life and like, I'm guilty of this, obviously. You find a guy at a bar. It's like I'm doing the same thing they're doing, so like how bad could it really be? But like you don't know them well enough to know that it's not like a huge problem for them or something, you know, like I feel like
that's
just
like a nightly thing.
Like do you live here? Do the staff know you by your first name? You know, like do they have a special chair saved at the bar for you?
Do you remember that man when we were in the little yellow house that was like he was a doctor and he created that fake person?
I mean, was it fake? Like, I really don't know.
Fake,
I think it was fake too. And I was the first person to call him on that.
Yeah.
With his platinum American Express.
Yes.
And I wouldn't take a drink from him.
No, I didn't
also,
either.
like, be safe out there, people. Like, do not take a drink from a bar where you haven't seen it poured. You know, like, this guy walked up to us with a tray of drinks and was like, what did you say you wanted again? And I was like, give me the credit card so I can go buy my own.
And you did.
And he gave it to me, which who is trusting, you know, the girl dressed up in Christmas attire at the bar?
Oh, right.
With
that
your
was after
credit
the Christmas
card.
show.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But it is, And then I remember taking that drink from him, but I gave it to somebody else and they drank it. And I kept checking in with them.
Are you
I was
okay?
Like, are you okay? Yeah.
I don't want you to think that I drugged you. But
oh, yeah. I never thought of that. I would have been on the hook for that.
You would have maybe been on the hook for that. You got to be careful out there.
Okay.
It's crazy out there.
But it's easy. But like sometimes, like you can be so close to danger and not realize it too, I think.
Oh,
sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like I have a very good like guard up for that. Like a very good wall of like distrust for people, especially straight white men. As anyone should.
Wow, but is that discriminatory?
Is it?
Or is it patterns based off
I was going to say, it's probably based off my personal experiences. I've been drugged before by someone that I knew, which I think makes it even more scary.
Yeah.
Like, what was that person's intentions with me? I don't actually know. Thank God nothing happened. Maria to the rescue. Yeah, like, and a girl that I went to high school with walked by me outside, and that's the only reason that my mom was called and that I was picked up. But like, I'm in Calgary now, and that is, if that happened to me, the chances of somebody walking by that you know,
who also knows your mom,
like that's just like, it's not as common, I guess. And I just like, I hate the thought. I hate even like the culture that even is a thing. It's scary.
But even, okay, so from the beginning of talking about this, the man at the train station thinking that femininity isn't okay, I think that comes from the same, and when I say culture, not like the culture that he was part of specifically, like his ethnic culture, but just the culture of like viewing women as a resource,
right?
I think contributes to that too.
Yeah. It's scary.
And that's kind of the dating app kind of stuff too.
There's entitlement from a lot of people.
Well, okay, the dating apps, you know what I was thinking of is drugs. Drugs, because we were talking about drugs a little bit. You must see a lot of drug things in like the ER.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The amount of gay men who are doing meth. Sorry, do you know about this?
No, but
that is so much of queer culture.
Do they like realize the risks of these things? Like that's really concerning to me.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing, and then I got into the research of it, and it's like epidemic levels, like all of these queer men. And then I looked back on a few of my previous experiences and thought
maybe they were on meth.
That's what was off.
Oh,
I knew something.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was the drugs.
It was the meth.
It was the meth.
Yeah. That'll do it.
I can't say that I've like necessarily like noticed that. I feel like we get a lot of like vulnerable populations, like homeless, like no fixed address, like we get a ton of that into the hospital. Obviously there is a drug problem in Canada in general. I feel like major cities are obviously worse. Like we get emails all the time about like the new drugs that are coming out and like how bad they are and yada yada yada, which is like obviously such a huge deterrent and should be for anyone. Meth is so bad and like addictive that I just don't think that it's like should be like, they're almost like, I feel like that's like advertising it as like a party trick. Like, no.
Is it an opioid?
No. It's an amphetamine.
Right.
Which is very addictive. Like, yeah. Like heroin, fentanyl, like those are opioids.
Yeah.
But like they also call that like down. Like meth is like such like it's like a stimulant almost. Like it's
like my ADD meds.
Your ADD meds are basically legal meth in very, very small doses.
Jesus, yeah.
In a good way.
That's terrifying.
In a good way, because people need it to like focus. But like you see like people that have been up for like 4 days. Like sometimes you literally have to like heavily sedate people just so they can like have an hour of sleep, which is just like so messed up. Like, and I think for anyone who's like younger and like trying to like, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's why like Grindr is scary to me. Like obviously I'm not on it, but like that's so terrifying. Like you think like some little 18-year-old that's like just like experimenting for the first time, and then they like see that and they think like, oh yeah, let's party.
Exactly. It's just an adjective of like, we're gonna have fun. Yeah.
And like if that was, I think that it would be very hard if you were in a vulnerable position, like say you were with like even someone the same age or older than you that like has experience with that. I feel like that would be a very hard situation for you to get yourself out of.
If you can even recognize it in the beginning.
Right.
I was 15 years old in Medicine Hat driving my car that I did not have a license for yet because I was 15 years old across the city to go to this man's apartment that was like 40.
I remember.
And that yeah, because I remember calling you anyway. We're not going to get into that.
I was there. I recall.
Yeah. But like it's so interesting though, because I look at these like fundamentalist Christian people, or like the people that are like, Tate, you can't be talking about sex in schools. Of like, you kind of have to be.
You should be.
Because if you don't have that education, sure, it might be deemed as like inappropriate for that child to know. But is it going to be more inappropriate from a safe space, you actually explaining what the risks are, or are you just going to omit all the information so you end up with a bunch of pregnant Christian teens because they had no idea what was going to happen if they engaged in this behavior?
Right. Nobody knows.
If I would have had that education, I would not have made those same choices.
Well, and I feel like there's a lot of like, and I feel like it's getting better. There is so little knowledge in like younger generations of like sexually transmitted diseases, like anything under that category.
Think that's inappropriate to teach.
But like it's
kids.
that, and I mean, we went to the same schools. Like, we know that that was not something that was, like, regularly taught to us in school. We went to Catholic school. So, obviously, that's, like, you don't have sex till you're married. It's, like, a big topic of discussion that just, like, doesn't happen in those places where it needs to. That's where it needs to start. Like, yeah, educate your 16, 17-year-old kids about that, because it's a real thing. Teen pregnancy is a real thing. Any STDs, like... But like there's so many resources around it, and I feel like people don't actually utilize them enough. Like there's so many clinics in Calgary. Do people like make a habit of that? I feel like no. And should they? Yes. Yeah. Like especially if you're out having unprotected sex. Oh my God, I feel like I sound like a mother right now. I'm like, if you're out having unprotected sex, like you need to get checked.
Even if it's protected, you should.
Even if it's protected, you should get checked. If you are not with a long-term partner that you trust is also only sleeping with you, you should get tested every 3 months. That's just been like my holy grail. Honestly, I learned this in nursing school. Like we had like the public health nurses come in and talk to us about it. And it was like, if you are having like sex with multiple partners, you should be getting checked like every 3 months, like at minimum. If you think that you need it or something's going on, obviously you're more than welcome to, like entitled to like go in and do that. And like, it's free. And like they can offer like guidance and stuff as well. Like, I don't know. There's been situations, especially like in the hospital, where like, you know, these young people are coming into emergency departments for this treatments or for these testing situations. And it's like, it's not an emergency department thing. Like, obviously we're going to help you because you're here, but like, there's just other areas and like other resources that are easier to access than that. Yeah. There's just not enough knowledge surrounding it. I feel like it's not talked about enough.
Yeah. And then like the fear and shame that's built around it, especially from this like idea of religion. But then I remember like, cause I was sexually active from age 16 on, and I think the first time I was tested, I was probably like 19. Right. And it's because I had so much fear, and then it just builds on itself of like, I can't go to my doctor and ask for that. That's so like, this is going to be awful. But,
and you don't want like your parents to know, you know, but like once you hit that age, like once you're like, I don't know if it's like 14 or 15, like you can like seek medical help by yourself. Like you can go out and you can say, hey, I want to get STI testing. And I'm pretty sure they like, I'm not allowed to like phone your mom and be like, hey, is it okay that we do this? Like, no, you're coming in, you're adult enough that you can make this decision to go and have sex with someone. You're adult enough to come in and get tested.
Do it responsibly, yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like that's like not a common like thing that was ever ingrained into our heads as kids. No. Even now, like I have some friends and they're like, you get tested that often? Yeah, you don't? Like, let's go. Like, I will take people with me. Like, I don't think that it shouldn't be like taboo or controversial. Like, if you've slept with someone and you're a little, go get tested.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't hurt to find out. And the best thing they can say is no news is good news. Right? So, like, at least you're being proactive about these things. Like,
yeah. And like, yeah, the longer that it is between times, I get more nervous about it. So if it's more frequent, then it's just easier and like more routine.
Well, yeah. And it's just like you kind of normalize it for yourself a little bit. Like you're like, okay, like this happened. I better go make sure everything's good. And like that's just like comes with like self-care, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And like some people are better at that than others, obviously. Self-care.
Good. I mean, this is a plug for me for Freddie. Do you know what Freddie is?
No.
Oh, okay. I talked about this. This was what my episode 1 was all about with Zen. But Freddie is a once a day. Well, Freddie's the company, but PrEP is the drug. Yeah, that's who I access PrEP through, and it's free. And then they facilitate all the testing. So they give you a 3-month supply of PrEP, and then they send you lab recs that you just go and do yourself.
I love this.
They send it to them, and then they just refill your prescription if everything comes back negative.
Perfect.
So you just, it's automatic every time. It's
and so like, why not do that? Yeah. Like, you're taking care of yourself in that aspect. You need to, you know, like, and like, don't get me wrong. There's people who have come into the emergency department not knowing where to get PrEP.
Yeah.
And like, can an emergency room doctor write your prescription for that? Sure. Is that what they want to be doing? You know, like there's other places you can go. They would rather that, like, that's not their expertise, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, we are the master of all, and like, what is it? What's the saying? That's not the saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like,
jack of all
we're
trades.
the jack of all trades and we're the masters of nothing. That's, I think, maybe what I was going for. Like, we can do it, but we don't do it as good as like this sexual health clinic does, or like Freddie.
Yeah.
You know, and like, if you can, like, is there like, obviously it's a website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you can go on that and do it yourself,
it's so easy.
There you go.
You do it like a 30-minute call with a nurse practitioner who asks why you want it. She asks if you do any hard drugs, what your sexual habits are.
And you shouldn't be doing meth out there. God. That's my opinion. Don't do it.
I just know my life would go down just immediately if I did that.
Can't be doing that.
I'm such an addictive person.
Meth is very addictive.
It'd be
it's
over,
very scary to me that that's happening right now. It makes me very nervous about it.
Yeah.
Also, I have to just like say another thing in healthcare. Like, if you are coming in and you're like, oh shit, I did too much meth, and you're in the hospital, you're in the emergency department, and you're like freaking out about it, confide in like your nurse, or be like, hey, I need to talk to a social worker because this is what happened. And if it's not something that you wanted to do, like, get the police involved, like get social workers involved. Like, that's not okay. Like, if you've been like put into a vulnerable position in that state, or like any sort of assault happened, like, please just come forward with that. Like, no one, especially where I work, no one is going to judge you on that. And like, we have a specific team. It's called CSART in Calgary. And it's I don't want to screw this up. I have to look up the acronym.
Yeah.
But basically, like, what they do, it's like the sexual assault response team, I think. CSART. Yeah, Calgary Sexual Assault Response Team. So this is based out of Sheldon Schumer, but you can go anywhere. And like, if that happens to you, they are on call 24/7.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, that is another resource. And like, there is time limits and time constraints on when you can like do these kits and stuff. And even if you do a kit, you don't actually have to like take it to the police. Like, they'll hold it for you for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact time that they'll hold it for you, but if something like that did happen and you want to just like think on it and be like, I don't know if I want to take this to the police right away, you still need to like have that kit done. And I feel like that's just like something that people don't actually know about.
Yeah.
So like, please, if that is ever a concern or like a situation, tell your doctor, tell your nurse, like tell anyone, and they will facilitate those things for you. And like I feel like that's like a really good thing for everyone to know.
Yeah. Well, and that goes in that same category of like shame and not having the information, because then you're scared to say something.
Yeah.
And then that kind of shit just perpetuates, and the person that potentially did that to you can move on, and there's no consequences.
Yeah, and then they just continue doing it to other people.
And then they have kids and see that as the example, and then that's our world.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Do you have any funny opinions? Let's finish this.
I was gonna say we're getting really serious.
I know.
Here.
Again, yeah, immediately.
Why do we
right
keep
into
getting
the serious? Because it's
that
rough
is serious.
out here. Yeah.
This is hard out here in Calgary, in the old Cowtown.
Let's think of one stupid opinion that you have. Oh, I have mine.
Okay.
I hate the word than. THAN. I think it's stupid.
Greater than.
Yeah, and I'd never use it. I always use THEN.
That's then.
I hate than.
Then.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
Why do you have so much hatred for the word?
I think it just...
It doesn't have a place in your life.
Sounds stupid. Yeah.
I don't actually have a place for the word then.
Yeah, I hate it. It makes you sound too fancy.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's probably not a greater comment about me and how I think about myself. This probably means nothing. Yeah.
It probably means nothing.
Yeah.
I have a controversial one.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah.
I hate pineapple on pizza.
Oh.
Hate it. Won't eat it.
It's not that controversial.
Well,
it's not that,
it's up for debate.
It's a very white person thing to say.
It is.
Yes.
I told you I'm a basic white girl.
Yeah, you did.
You
did.
Yeah, I just hate it. It doesn't belong.
I like it.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Do you like pineapple, period? Like
yeah, I do.
Own?
I like pineapple. I like barbecued pineapple. Like, but like, I just don't like it on my pizza.
That's fair.
It's not, it shouldn't be there.
Thank you for joining me here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Time.
I hope I get invited back.
Yes, of course. We'll think of something that we can...
I was gonna say, I'm gonna start brainstorming new opinions that I have. New opinions.
God, make them nice and controversial for us.
I will.
Okay, thanks for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, bye. I almost hit a pedestrian because someone honked at me today. Like, come on. I'm just trying to let the guy cross the street. I understand we're on a busy road, but like, you know, just fuck off, you know? Like, I'm just trying to be a good citizen here. I can't.